You are now listening to Sentinel Soundbytes.
So we are live. All right.
Hello and welcome back to the Sentinel Soundbytes podcast. Today is a special one for me because we're getting to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, a program that I'm involved in here with the school. Two very special people joining us to talk about ACCEL. We have Miss MaryClair Wright and Dr. Chris Brown. We've had MaryClair on. You've talked AI curriculum, so I'm going to save you introducing yourself again and talking about your background. Dr. Brown, first time on the show, you get right into the spotlight and just kind of, if you don't mind, give our audience kind of a background of who you are, where you've been, and what led you here to ASCTE.
Sure. I went to college at UAH right here in Huntsville, did engineering and physics, and I went on to a PhD in engineering management ultimately. Spent about 20 years working as an engineer, mostly in NASA contractors and then as a DoD civilian with a Missile Defense Agency. And then in 2022, I had a conversation with a guy named Matt Massey, who you might have heard of. And he is very persuasive. And next thing I know, I was here teaching high school and loving every minute of it.
Love that. What a pivot. And we've highlighted before how we're able to hire teachers from industry and that come in and work. And so Dr. Brown's another example of those. We'll appreciate you just kind of giving us a brief glimpse. MaryClair, I'm going to flip back to you. We're here to talk about ACCEL today.
Yes.
Advancing Cyber Concepts in Engineer Learning, another acronym here at ASCTE. Can you talk to us a little bit through your perspective of what you see ACCEL as? And we're going to talk and define it as we go, but just through your eyes as a teacher and someone who's been throughout the state, as we talk about this ACCEL program, what does it mean to you? How would you define it?
So as a teacher, it's my chance to get out of the building. It's my chance to get out into the rest of Alabama and see what's happening in their classrooms. I get to collaborate with other teachers and see what they need and what's happening. And then the counterpunch is we get to take in content and curriculum that they may not have the resources or expertise to provide. And so every trip, as we're packing the boxes, you sometimes think, I don't want to do this today. And then you get out there and interact with the teachers and the kids. And so we're sent to give something to them, but I always get energy back from it and ideas and find it super fulfilling.
Yeah. And as we're talking about this is a state-funded program that runs through the school, and we get the chance to go out to areas all throughout our state and serve. It's one of the mandates of the school. Dr. Brown, I'm going to flip this to you and talking about, as we do this, we target school systems all throughout our state, some that are very affluent, some that are in underserved areas. MaryClair brings the cyber piece to the party. You bring the engineering piece. Can you talk about your scope of, as you're preparing to go introduce things like engineering and rocketry to places that may have never been exposed to that, or places that don't have the resources, kind of the scope you look through as you're getting ready to go take on these experiences?
Yeah, one of the things that I ask every time we go is what's the age level and what's the area like, and try to really tailor what we do to the audience. But for me, it is kind of like Ms. Wright said, it's great to go out to other parts of the state and see some of the kids that we have all over the state from all kinds of backgrounds, and to be able to go and maybe share something there. They've got great teachers at those middle schools, but we get to go and share something that maybe has not been available to them before, and that those kids maybe thought was out of their reach or not something that they might be able to have access to. And we get to bring that into them, and more than anything else, get to tell them that, hey, you can do this too. You're capable of it, and you can succeed in these fields if this is where your interest lies. So when I prepare, it's not just about what specific technical things I might share. It's what I can leave them with as an impression that, hey, you are capable of doing the things that we do here in Huntsville.
Love it. Well, and MaryClair, kind of in the same breath, but more you're on the cyber side, so shooting rockets in the sky and making things, that's always fun and a blast. But you're walking into these rooms and taking kids who maybe never been exposed to much computer science at all, and I've watched you teach them to code these microbits and make them light up and make sounds and make ducks disappear. How do you, from an educator side, plan to do that? And you're thinking about, man, this kid may have no exposure to the word coding or even know what that means, and to some, and I'm sure some listening, that's like a scary word, and like, oh my gosh, there's a lot to that. And you go in with 6th, 7th, or 8th graders and get them to perform these, what some might listening to this call like miracles. But can you kind of talk about your side of that?
I can, and I share Dr. Brown's same philosophy, but it starts with you belong in the room. And this is for you too. And especially when people think of a cybersecurity or a hacker, that has a specific demographic. People immediately get a picture of what that person looks like in their head. And our message is, you're that person too. And so I feel like we're littering the state with these microbits because we leave the equipment behind, but they're very small, about the size of a credit card, that have an LED grid and sensors and buttons. And so within about 7 minutes, we can have them where they hit a button and their own name is rolling across the screen. And so that instant connection of, I wrote this code and I did this, and that's my name that I see, lights them up and connects it to it. So that having immediate success. And then as we work through the day, my favorite activity, which we added this year, is teleporting ducks. So they end up partnering their microbit with a peer. They're transmitting signals over radio waves. So we get to talk about how two devices connect to each other. And when they shake their device, a duck appears on their partner's screen and vice versa. And so then they spread out to see how far that message comes. So underneath the fun of sending ducks across the gym, we're having some complicated discussions about how devices talk to each other, how data gets sent over radio waves, but it's very accessible. And we were teleporting ducks. Who does not want to do that?
Or throwing them in separate season. You don't actually throw it.
The subtle quacks that get added by the sixth graders is one of my favorite quiet additions. So that's been really fun.
I feel like there's a disclaimer: no actual animals alarm.
These are all digital.
Okay, appreciate you sharing. And then the cyber piece, you were talking about the microbits. That's kind of the big piece of what we leave behind.
It is the big piece of what we leave behind. We typically leave behind, and it depends on the school and kind of what the teachers want. So sometimes we give the microbit to the individual students and they can all take them home. But the last few schools, we've left them as a class set. So they will have 30 to 40 of these microbits. And in fact, the last school we were in, Wadowee, I'm emailing back and forth with her of what's the next activity I can do and what are some resources. And so she's incorporating that into their math and science curriculum. And so that resource will be used by this year's kids, but she's got those ready to go next fall as well. Again, even if we never get to come back, that's another teacher bringing that concept to their students that was brought to her and trained, and she's got some backup.
Sure. Amazing. Well, I'm going to change gears a little bit here, and this will be a really fun conversation. So ACCEL serves the state primarily but as the school's mission has changed from being a national model of education and now global, we're starting to stretch our limits with ACCEL as well. We all three, I guess a couple weeks ago, just got back from the western coast of Alaska, where we took this show on the road and went out to the marshes. And I'm going to give both of you the time to talk, hopefully not too many bad stories on any of us. We can all keep some secrets safe on the travels. But just talk to us a little bit. Yolista, who's one of our school's partners, their parent company, Chillista, has a backpack campaign company. Over the summer, we got woven in with them, and next thing you know, there's us three getting on an airplane and going to Alaska. And that sounds like a lot. I'll let you lead off and just talk about what that was like and just your experience heading out to a village in Alaska and teaching cybersecurity to children in an indigenous village.
It was a lot. I think we said we took 8 flights in 7 days with all of our equipment and all of our belongings, and it couldn't have been a more special trip.
Any perspective you'd want to share from kind of the trip experiences of watching these children who there's no way they've been exposed to any of these concepts, watching rockets fly and learning about apogee and do you have anything to share just from your perspective?
It was very impactful, and we started in the town of Bethel, which is a larger town. It's kind of the hub for that region, and a really wide array of kids there, kids from all kinds of ethnic backgrounds. I think there were a dozen languages represented in the classroom we were in. And just an incredible experience with them, but also to see them light up with some things that they had not seen before, had not thought about before. And then to have that experience with the students and again, to see the impact on them and to share that message that, yeah, you can do this, that, hey, we honor your traditional way of life, but if you are someone who's interested in these things, that you can do that in Alaska, you can do that outside Alaska, and it's in your reach and you're capable of it. Just be able to bring that message to them, and again, bring them a lot of things that we left that they'll be able to continue doing there. Is just a great experience, a great impact on all of us.
Yeah, well, I appreciate both you guys sharing that, and I appreciate Gillista making it happen and sending us there, and our partners here at our school are integral to us, but giving us that experience. I mean, I think personally we all can say, like, there was a personal impact on top for us, on top of hopefully the educational impact we provided. But last thing I want to finish with, because of ACCEL and what we do, it creates interest in students. Like, this is an outreach program where there's an element of, when we go to these schools and we run these programs, we're there for 2 days. Part of the message is, hey, if you enjoyed this, there's a school in Huntsville, Alabama that does this every day. We have several students in our school right now who both of you have probably taught that went through the ACCEL program. Can you kind of talk about the experience? Like, have you guys had someone in class that you're like, oh, I ran a camp with you in class, and how just kind of cool that is to see it come together? Anybody want to speak on that?
I haven't had the moment where I recognize the student when they're sitting in class the first week, but to have several students throughout the day process, this is more than just a visitor, and by the end of the day saying, wait, can I apply to go to school here? What do you mean it's a public school in Alabama? Very often they'll say, how much does it cost? And the knowledge that this is free to Alabama students kind of changes their entire outlook very quickly.
So have you had any, we're doing some 101, I know you teach our 101 class, or have in the past. Do you ever have a student go, hey, I had you teach me rocketry at an ACCEL camp?
I have had that happen. Our very first ACCEL camp was Elmore County, which has been a great partner to us. In fact, their technology leader there is kind of kept in contact, and I've directed him to some resources that he's used for projects in the school system. But that first camp, we had 2 girls who are now 10th graders here at the school that came out of that very first one in Elmore County at Millbrook Middle School. And so it was so exciting when they got here, and I realized that, that was someone that we directly reached first time out, and now they're here at our school. They were so interested and so excited and so encouraged that they could do it, that they showed up here, and it's been great. And they're 10th graders now. They're doing great.
Initiatives of the school, 1 was to start a school.
Yes.
2 was to support the state in growing cyber and engineering implementation. One thing we're doing this, we're not trying to go, I think it gets mistaken that we're going and running these programs to take everyone's kids. That's not the case. Now, there's certainly the element, as we talked about, where if a student's interested and they show up here, that's great. But can you talk about, like, as we're going, the goal is to more spark curiosity and to maybe lead the next generation of professionals across our state, not just bringing them here. Can you talk on that a little bit, and like what our goals are and what marks we're trying to hit with?
Yes. If for no other reason, everyone that we teach in ACCEL camp can't come to school here. There is not enough room. There's not enough space, and it's not appropriate for everyone, and it is not in their interest. But every community that we go to is going to have solutions or problems that require an engineering or a computer science or a cybersecurity solution. And we need everybody in that community thinking that way. We need them when they're opening a new bank, we need them to think about the ATM and the wireless capabilities as well as the runoff from the water. And so the more that we can go out and say, you belong in this conversation and this applies to you, then we are beginning to build the leaders of the wireless generation. But the leaders of the wireless generation need to know how data gets sent back and forth. They need to know what they have to secure. And so the earlier we can start that conversation, if I can convince you in 6th grade that you can do this and this is interesting and I can light you up, then you're much more likely to pursue that at an Alabama institution working for an Alabama company. And so spreading what we know to be right and good and true problem solving and ways of thinking around the state is married into the fun of teleporting ducks and shooting off water rockets, and getting them involved in that conversation as early as possible.
Well, I appreciate both you sharing that and just taking some time today. I know you guys have been busy in meetings, and this is your day of collaborating engineering and cyber, and you're just doing it again. And I appreciate all the time we've got to spend together and working together. It's a joy to watch you guys do what you do and make the impact that you make. The next part of this, and we're going to cut you guys loose, and in the next part of this episode, you're going to hear from as the programs continued to grow. I think the word's out. Part of our school's secret sauce is our seniors participated in an internship. And this year, the school and the ACCEL program took on 2 interns. So we have 2 of our seniors that are working with the program full time. They travel with us. They operate. So we're going to kick you guys out of these chairs and we're going to put the interns in. So appreciate your time, and we'll look forward to hearing from you soon. All right. And we have kicked Dr. Brown and Ms. Wright out of the room, and they have now been replaced. And we are excited to introduce to you with the ACCEL program, as we've been going for years and we've grown and we've evolved. One thing that we've decided to pick up this year is interns through our program. So if you're familiar with how the school operates and how our senior program goes, our seniors get the opportunity to participate in a year-long internship. And these two fine young people that we're going to introduce you to and you're going to get to hear from had a choice in coming to work for ACCEL and working with the school. So without further ado, I'm going to allow Phoebe and Micah to just lightly introduce themselves, give you a little idea who they are before we keep talking to ACCEL. So Phoebe, we'll go you first. Tell these fine people who you are.
So I'm Phoebe. I am a fourth-year senior. I'm residential. I am originally from Mobile. And I think that's pretty much all the interesting things about me. I'm pretty involved in student life, in the res life side, and
doing all the things.
I like to do all the things.
Perfect. Micah?
I'm from here, so not Mobile, and I, of course, am not res, but I'm also a fourth-year senior, and then I kind of also do everything, but mainly drama and bands are kind of my two big things.
And you're getting ready as we're recording tonight. First showing of the new play. So
yes.
Exciting times. You're on camera today, and then you'll be on stage later tonight.
Yes, there's a lot of nerves going on today.
Love that. We'll appreciate you taking some time to sit down with us. We're really going to sit down so you can talk about how great your intern supervisor is. And no, I'm kidding. That's we won't do that. But what we do? We could. Well, thank you. I'm flattered.
He did bring us donuts at the last.
Right.
I did do that.
So you bring us donuts. You bring us pizza. So
I try to take care of you all. So
our favorite.
So I'm gonna give a little bit. What you guys do as interns with the ACCEL program is just critical now to the. I don't know how we survived without you, or how I will moving forward without you, because of what you provide. Can you both talk about a little bit of why? And Mike, I'm gonna start with you since we opened with her. Of just what interested you so to give people at home a little background, all of you and your classmates sat all through August, early September, and heard pitches from every one of our partners. This is what we do, and this is what you'll be doing when you intern with us. You got to listen to me talk and talk about ACCEL, and then at some point somewhere, you both decided you had at least a little bit of interest in being involved with this program. Can you kind of tell us why, from your perspective, that this talked to you a little bit?
Okay, so there's a little bit of a backstory here. The summer before I came to ASCTE, I attended a scout camp. It was a week-long camp called National Youth Leadership Training, which is exactly what the name is. It was a week-long leadership training camp. But I actually went back and I have staffed 4 of those courses since. So this last summer was the last course that I staffed. I wasn't able to staff this upcoming course or the next one in the summer. I don't think. So I really missed that environment, and that was kind of like the educational, the program management kind of stuff. I honestly missed being a part of that. And I thought that ACCEL would kind of scratch that itch a little bit. And I also just wasn't too interested in sitting on the desk. So I think ACCEL was probably the most active internship. No offense to anyone else out there.
Yeah.
But that's really what drew me to it.
Not just many of these companies are going and hanging out with 7th and 8th graders, or so that I think you're fair to
getting
say.
to travel the state, move boxes around, all sorts of fun stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
And Phoebe, kind of same question to you. Just what drew you to this, and what interested you in working with ACCEL this year?
I think a big part of it is kind of similar to Micah. I've spent summers volunteering. I used to volunteer at a program in Mobile for special education and like special needs children, and I really just enjoy working with kids. They're like so excited to learn always. You were really, really enthusiastic when you talked about ACCEL. I think that was a big part of it too, because kind of like Micah said, we had been sitting in the cafeteria for a month and it was getting a little boring. And everybody was kind of the same thing, but what you were presenting was really, really new. And I also do appreciate the traveling part, and just I love being here. I live here. I spend every single day here, so
Well,
I enjoy the environment.
Well, you may be the queen of the segue now, because you just set up my perfect the follow up. In doing this, you get the chance. We've already been to, I think, 4 different middle schools just already in the year, with many more scheduled. Approximately 20 camps will be throughout the state. How is it for you in getting to talk to these middle school age students, these prospective students, about your experiences here, and how has that kind of led to it creates that excitement organically, I guess, because you've had such a positive experience. Can you talk through the lens of like what that's been like to go and know that even in the 4 trips we've been to already, you might have spoke to someone who's going to apply to come to school here and will be here, and it might in large have to do with you guys. And just can you talk about, how your perspective on that and how you feel about that?
Yeah, so I guess our last camp, which was yesterday, there was one kid in particular who was like asking a lot of questions. He was like really, really into everything, and he knew a lot more than I expected him to know. And like meeting kids like that, and like when we went to Wadawi, there was a lot of kids like that were just like so like in love with what we were doing, and they thought everything was so cool and so interesting. I actually had a kid come up to me and say that his like brother went to the math and science school, and he was like, I would much rather go to y'all's.
And we love our friends at
We do.
sciences.
But I don't know. I think that is a big part of it for me. I used to do admissions tours, and knowing that like there was something I was doing that would kind of open that interest to kids was really, really important to me, because that's how I got here too, is people were opening that entrance for me.
Yeah. And Mike, I'm going to kind of change gears for you, and you guys are getting to go out and help. You're running these activities. We're coding microbits, we're shooting rockets, although you haven't got to see the rocketry day yet. You guys are getting to instruct these lessons, and I watched both of you yesterday teach students in Tuscumbia City Schools over at Deshler Middle School how to code microbits, what AI is. Can you talk about a little bit, because both of you had a great conversation yesterday with those students about AI and the what it is, but the dangers in it. Can you talk about maybe what the experience has been? I would imagine when you signed up for this, you didn't think that you would be having near existential conversations with middle school students about artificial intelligence. But can you kind of talk about like what the experience has been opposed to what you thought it would be, maybe? Or it might be right in line with what you expected.
I think I don't really know what I expected coming in. It's definitely, there's been some surprises. Like I wasn't expecting that large of a group of middle schoolers to be heavily using ChatGPT and Sora. That kind of caught both of us off guard. But like, I think in general, it's been what I expected from an educational standpoint, like going through presentations and doing activities and stuff. There's been a lot that I didn't expect, like how some of the kids have reacted. I honestly wasn't expecting how well some of this would be received by people, especially we went to Wadawi. When was that? Like a
couple weeks ago.
We
were in Wadawi school.
Yeah.
And just like normally when you're teaching something, there's one or two people that kind of have that spark in their eye, like they understand it or they get it or they're interested. We had close to 60 people that had that spark in their eye. I think that's been the most surprising thing, is just how engaged these middle schoolers have been. Like I said, like with my past experience at scout camps and stuff, it's usually a very small amount of people that are truly interested. And I love that we have large groups that all feel that way.
Yeah. Well, Phoebe, I'm going to flip to you. And in part in doing this, you guys, you certainly work primarily with the ACCEL program, but you more or less have become employees of the school. You're here every day. How has it been for you in, all your classmates at 9 o'clock or whatever time they get on the road and they're taking off, and you come across the hallway and you step into the building you've been a student in, and you still are, you're seniors here, but you also get to wear the hat of colleague with now some of your teachers, and particularly early Miss Wright and Dr. Brown have been very involved. How has it been for you of getting to look through a little different lens here at the school? You kind of see how the sausage is made, if you will. Has that changed any perspective for you? And if so, what?
I don't know if it's changed a lot of perspective, because of how I'm involved in res life. I kind of already had a better understanding of like how things were running than other people would. Being a prefect and everything, we have to meet a lot, and this kind of tells it as it is sometimes. But I have really, really liked kind of what Micah was saying. We don't sit at like a desk in like a cubicle every day.
Yeah.
Which I love. I make Micah go to lunch with me all the time.
That is true.
And I don't know. I also like I was saying earlier, I like being here because it's an environment that I am so familiar with.
Sure.
That like other people, I feel like were really nervous and like had to take a lot of time to acclimate. But like I already knew what I was getting into because I've been here for so long.
Fair.
And I know everybody. You've definitely made that easier. The people in the executive suite, Mr. Cundiff, they've all made that easier for me. At least. But I think, I don't know if it's given me that much of a difference. But I think I have a better respect of how admin run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
I definitely have more respect for the school running in general. Just seeing how much effort it takes to actually make stuff happen. And especially, like freshman year coming in, it all felt very magical, like stuff was just working. And now I'm seeing the amount of effort put into making stuff work, making schedules, lineups, all that kind of stuff. I really didn't know how the school operated financially until like this year,
Sure.
just talking to people. So it's definitely been a perspective change. I think I have more respect and appreciation for the school through that, though.
Awesome. Unintended consequences, but a good one nonetheless.
Yeah, definitely.
You guys get to see the chaos every day. And so, again, thank you for taking some time to sit with us and for representing our school the way you do and for matching shirts today. That was not
That was an
planned.
accident.
Yes, that was not planned.
I walked into breakfast this morning and I saw Micah and I was like, I was worried this was gonna happen. We always accidentally match.
Yeah, we're gonna.
I think it works out. I mean, if we're on the podcast, I mean,
Exactly. We're gonna act like we're that organized.
yeah.
So, but appreciate you guys both taking some time to sit with us today. This is actually not a work day for you all, so we will let you get back to class and preparing for a play tonight and doing all the things you're doing, and just appreciate what you're doing for the program. If you're listening to this, maybe the ACCEL camp's coming to you, or potentially you will see these bright, shining young faces coming and working with your students here soon. So, thanks again, and I look forward to traveling the state with you over the next couple of months.
So we are live.